Hello, I'm Cheri Callahan with Place of Radiant Beauty, and I'm here today to show you a demonstration on the 2B Bio Beauty product line. Mainly the foundation of that line is the Bio Peel. And they've asked me today to come and show you a demonstration, which I'm happy to do because I do use it in my practice. My practice is Place of Radiant Beauty. However, I also am a consultant for estheticians across the country. My website is chericallahan.com. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start by washing up the client like you normally would do with any facial. Okay, so what we're going to start with, we're going to start by washing the client like you would any client before treatment. And what we're going to start with for this peel in particular, there is Bio Net, but Bio Purite is the cleanser that you're going to use when you're doing the Bio Peel. And the reason for that is you absolutely, you still want to strip out those extra oils that are out of the skin. So no matter if you're dealing with aging skin, someone normally that you'd want to have more lipids down in the skin, you're still not going to use the BioNet for the peel. You're going to use BioNet as a retail product. For the peel itself, it is the Bio Purite. And of course, you're just going to do a normal cleanse. Now, for the interest of saving some time, we're not going to do the décolleté today or the neck. However, this peel is wonderful for removing texture and pigmentation on the décolleté as well, and bringing up all that pigmentation. So normally I would ask the client if they want that, and we would do that. But for the interest of saving time, we're only demonstrating on the face today. So the next step after we've done a cleanse is to go ahead and we're going to do a little bit of an exfoliant using the Bio Gommage. It smells amazing. It's perfectly spherical, so it doesn't tear up or rip up the top layer of the skin. This is a great retail product. It should be given out to every client that you have, and once they try it and smell it, they're all going to want it. But it's definitely important to do before the peel. I go ahead and some people put it in a little dish. I go ahead and put it right in my hand. And you're just going to go in, and again, it's perfectly spherical, it smells amazing. And of course, once you remove the gommage, then you're going to go ahead and do the next step that you mostly see with any peel, which is to degrease the skin. And for degreasing the skin, we're going to use Bio Clarite. And Bio Clarite is normally for oily skin, so of course, because you're going to be degreasing the skin, you're still going to use this, even again, if you use it on a more mature client who normally would be using something with more lipids. Okay, so now that we've cleaned the client and we've toned the client, we are now going to prepare the peel. You're going to take off, obviously you can take off the top, open it up. And the beauty of this peel is it's individually distributed. So it comes in a box of 30 peels, but each peel is individualized, so you don't get the oxygen. So that the purity of the product stays intact. We're going to measure out the liquid that goes into the powder, bio peeling preparation. I'm going to do about 2 to 2.5 of these little scoops that come with the product when you purchase it. And then you're going to go ahead and light your candle. You're going to be heating up the product. And we're going to open up your tools. Hopefully, I know everybody sterilizes their utensils, correct? Okay. And then we're going to start mixing that up. Don't over mix it, but make sure that you get it all in there together. It's kind of like mixing a cake though. If you over mix, you're going to have a tough cake. If you under mix, well then you're probably not going to get the height you want. So it's that in. And then once you get the bumps out of it and it's all mixed in, then go ahead and just stop and let that work. Again, don't overmix it. If you overmix it, it tends to break it down and it doesn't go down on the client as nicely. So what we've done is we have the peel product over here cooking away in that little urn, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to protect your eyes. We're going to use BioRegard, which is great eye contour and product for the eyes, got a lot of oxygen in it. What I do so that it stays down a little bit better is I go ahead and wet my 2x2s, and I put a little BioRegard on the product, on that 2x2, kind of move it around here, and then I fold it in half, and I place it down over the eye, Try to get it, you know, where it's up high enough where you can still get the benefit of the orbital bone there. So in case they have some pigmentation in there, you can still get that covered. But when it's ready, it kind of looks aerated. It's got kind of a neat little foamy sensation or look to it. You want to make sure you don't get it too hot, so make sure you don't light it and walk away from it and then come back and not test it on your wrist and place it on your client so that you burn them. For me, I love a fan brush, whatever you're most comfortable working with, but I feel like that fan brush really meets the contours of the face. You don't want to put it on like you do a mask. You want to just really pat it on. So for those of you watching this video, you know that we have high Fitzpatrick client here. So we have a lady of color. The big thing about the BioPeel, the ingredients are all natural, so they're very safe. However, the manipulation of the peel is what makes the difference. So that's where the training comes in. That's what's really important, to make sure you understand the proper way to do this treatment. On a higher Fitzpatrick, you're going to be doing pressure, less rubbing on the surface, and I'll be showing you and demonstrating that in just a moment.
You're on.
Okay, so we've just finished placing the product nice and evenly on the face. And now we're going to get into the technique, and this is the important part, probably the most important part of this whole process. So because she's a lady of color, we're going to be doing more. When you manipulate it, it's okay to do slight manipulation, but what you're not going to do is get in there and do this motion. You might, on me, you could do that all day long because I'm 100% Irish, and you know, obviously you could do that. But on her, you want to do more pressure, small little motion on the surface, but not a lot of back and forth grinding. Because although this is an all-organic peel, it still is a peel to be reckoned with. It gets the job done. It peels from the inside out. It'll bring up all the pigmentation. It's amazing what it does for texture. And so if you go ahead and you start grinding it on the surface of the skin, you could create pigmentation, the very thing you're trying to stop. Now Uzma had some blackheads on the top of the nose, and so if you notice, I am doing a little bit more of a rotation on the top of the nose. I'm not as worried about that as I would be on the more sensitive areas like the cheek, and because she is showing some blackheads there, I'm going to go ahead and get that be a little bit more frisky on those areas. Coming around the eyes. If this was she's a young girl, so we don't have the dropping, we don't have the issues with laxity. But if she were a more mature client and she was worried about laxity and you wanted to have an aha moment when your client sits up, it's amazing what this peel can do. If you just come underneath, so you take your hands like this, pull it up underneath the jawline, under where that muscle is, and pull up and push. All where the navel folds are, come in with these two fingers, come in, pull up, and push. I'm pushing the peel down inside, but I'm also lifting up the skin. And you think I'm not doing anything, but if you saw this on a mature client, it's amazing when you get done, the lift they get out of this peel. Now, again, she's young. If this were a more mature client, I would use my two fingers very gently, even on a woman of color, and I would manipulate this area in here because we all know that as skin gets more mature, they get textury down in this area. So go ahead and work that over. But again, keeping in mind how really hard you can go on her skin, which is not all that hard. So again, come around and lift, up and lift. And again, if this were a more mature client, sometimes I pull it up in here and I hold. If they have pigmentation, she has beautiful skin. If she had pigmentation on the surface of the skin, I would, instead of just doing this, even on a high Fitzpatrick skin, I would pick it up with one hand like this, and I would gently manipulate just on top of that pigmentation piece, rather than doing this whole face. Okay, I would be very careful. Same thing would be true if she had a breakout. If she had a breakout, I would go where the breakout is, and I would manipulate that peel in, and what's amazing is when you take the peel off, all of that material that's down in that follicle, you'll find coming up to the surface and be a nice little whitehead by the time you take the peel off. It's pretty amazing. I have about 250 clients, most of which do not want a substantial amount of downtime. So the beauty of the BioPeel is that you get a really nice peel, you get a peel reaction in terms of our peel results without downtime. You get a day or two of dryness, which they can moderate with some lipids, some hydration, but no one else is going to notice it. Your client will notice it, they'll feel a little dry, but it won't be noticeable to anybody else. On say peel 3, they might get a little dusty, depending upon how much natural pigmentation you had when you started with them. If they do, as you all know, the more pigmentation you have, the more results, the more downtime a client may have. However, with the BioPeel, there's no real significant downtime. So now I'm just going to let this sit. Now also what's important to remember is, again, on a high Fitzpatrick client, you're not going to let this dry completely. If it were on my skin, I would let this dry till it's almost light a lime green, because when it goes to almost dry, it's almost a lime green. And that's fine, but on her skin you want to take it off while it's still moist, because taking it off is where it's the most sensitive, and because of her coloring we want to take it off without too much of that agitation. You want to keep the eye pads on when you're going through this process, so that you don't get any peel inside. Now this isn't like you normally would remove product where you would take your 4x4s and rub it off. This is sensitive to the client, so you want to, it's actually a picking off. So what I do is I do this, and I just kind of lift it off and gather it, come back, get the sponges wet again, and keep going with that process until you remove it all. So this is really an amazing peel. When I'm working with some of the clients that I do consulting for, one of the challenges that they have, I would say that the #1 call I get is on pigmentation and how to really treat it in some new and fresh ways to treat pigmentation. And some of the ways that I think this peel works really well is, you know, most of the time when a peel, when pigmentation is, when the client first comes into you, it's very deep and it's very dark. That's why it's bothering them. So when you use a blended TCA or blended Jesner, oftentimes you have to go so many layers just to get it down and get it taken care of. The BioPeel will work on texture, lightening and brightening, and bringing up that pigmentation up into the upper layers of the skin, so that when you get all through with the series, whatever is left, you're then able to go get so easily with your blended peels after that. So that's especially good for my high Fitzpatrick clientele, where you just simply can't, you know, the risk of going into 3 and 4 layers is just too scary. I've had great results with some of my clients trying this on their customers, and they're getting great results. And as you go along with this peel and feel more comfortable, you know, you want to start out sticking to the protocol till you get really comfortable in using it and really understand how it works and why it works the way it does. And then once you get, it doesn't take you long, and then once you get comfortable with it, then you can start to do some advanced techniques with it. And we're going to make another video a little bit later. It's going to show you some ways where you can take this to the next level. Now here's where I'm trying to get, this is really granular. I'm trying to make sure I have it all for face. I'm going to have to remove these to do this. So what I tell my client when I do that is, I'm about to work around the face. I need you to keep your eyes completely closed and open them under any circumstances, okay? You just make sure that you really say that to your clients so they understand. Because although it's an organic peel, it's pretty granular, so you wouldn't want to get that in their eye. Okay? But once again, I bring it pretty close to that orbital bone because most of my clients, that's one of the reasons they want peels, is they want some improvement on those fine lines. So when you go to remove it, you're going to be working around those pads, and you're going to just eventually have to remove them in order to get close enough to get it off. Now what the client is feeling at this point is typically it's almost like I always describe it as leaning up against fiberglass, because that's kind of what it feels like. This has been cooked and pressed down into the skin, and so even though I'm removing it, when I get this all off her face, she'll feel like I still have a bunch of stuff on her face. And it's because it's so far down in there now, the brain is registering it as product on her face, even though there's nothing left on her face. And that sensation will last anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, and it differs with each person. It's not painful, it's actually kind of fun, because you know something's getting done. Clients really I get very positive response from it, because they actually feel like something's been happening to their skin. So in other words, when they walk away, they won't feel anything, but if they reach up and touch their face, it almost feels like like a little, like you're leaning up against fiberglass. And it's just the brain saying, you're not supposed to be here, what are you doing down here? And it starts turning over cells, new cells start being produced, and it starts pushing all that pigmentation and texture and everything to the top. Okay, So we're just about finished getting this all off, and she's probably feeling, do you feel like there's still a bunch on your skin? Yes. Okay, that's because, as I explained, it's all down inside now. The brain is already registering. Make sure that you tell your client when they leave, again, they're not going to feel the peel unless they reach up and touch it, and if they forget, it's kind of trippy. It's going to remind them that it's there. And then sometimes, not every client, but most, will feel warm. About an hour to 2 hours after they have the treatment is when they'll actually feel they had a treatment. For the same reason, it takes a while for the brain to register there's an injury, which is what any peel is, and so they'll actually warm up, which is normal, okay? So if they start, if you don't explain that, it's all about managing expectations, right? Anytime you're doing a peel or any advanced treatment, you want to make sure that you're thinking ahead and communicating everything that they could possibly feel. Because once the fear sets in, it's a lot harder to calm a client down than if you just tell them what to expect ahead of time. Okay? So now we've removed it, and the next step we're going to do is we're going to take a little of the biodiesel, and it is more for this. My clients love this that are more mature clients. It smells amazing. And now that the peel's happened, I don't need to degrease the skin. I'm just going to finish cleaning it, wiping it off, and toning it and bringing it back to a nice pH balance before I go into the next stage, which would be the mask. Good. Mm-hmm. So she had some blackheads when I first started, and they're gone. They're completely gone out of the nose now. So that, if you remember, I was working on that nose a little bit, and they are gone. So now that we've cleaned up their client, and we've done the peel, and we've put the toner down that rebalances the skin, now we're going to go into the mask process, next step, which is masking. And there's BioPure, which is more for oily skin, breakout prone skin, combination skin, that type of thing. And then there's BioNutrition, which is for drier skin, more mature skin. In her particular case, she's had a couple of breakouts over here, and I wouldn't say that she's normally a breakout prone person, but because of her youth and the fact that she's having some breakouts, the best choice for her would be the Purifont. So that's what I'm going to use today. And you don't need to overuse this product. A nice thin layer. I go ahead and put it in my hands, and one of the reasons I put a mask in my hands as opposed to a cup is because it has a chance to warm up from the heat of your body, and when you put it in a cup and then you put it down on the client, it's nowhere near as pleasant. So you want to let it sit in your hand a little bit, grab your mask brush, and I always kind of hit my hand with it a little bit, and this will warm up very quickly, or at least it'll take the cold edge off of it, so it's not such a shock after just having that peel. And again, you don't need much. So a nice fluid movement. Okay, so we've waited about 15-20 minutes, and as you can see, the mask is now inside the skin. It's pretty amazing. You're going to go ahead and remove the remainder of the mask. And by this time, the client's getting a kick out of it usually because it doesn't hurt, but they can feel every time you touch their skin, they feel a little bit of that feeling. And it's, it's a selling feature actually, because they realize there's something actually going on down in that skin. It's not just something you threw down on the skin and they're hoping that it actually does something. They can tell it's doing something. After I get this wiped off nicely, then you can go ahead one last time. I always go over their skin a little bit with more of the biodiesel, and it's really calming, and it just cleans up the skin a little bit. It's very nice to the senses. Finish it off that way. And you can go back to your bio regard for around the eyes. Maybe look up for me. Go ahead. There you go. If you have your client look up for you, you can get nice and deep into there. We're kind of trying to keep her makeup kind of nice. If the client didn't have any makeup on, I would go over the lids with this and go ahead and put it over the entire eye, which is just fine. If you have a client that's got issues with darkness under the eye, this is an amazing eye cream. Okay, so what we're going to use now is we're going to use the Oxy Gel with Perfluoroclin. This is a great retail product as well. I have it with almost every one of my clients. There is a back bar version of it's called Oxy Serum, and the serum is 25%, and I believe the Oxy Gel is 10%. So we're going to, when you're doing the peel, you can go ahead and use the Oxy Gel. However, when I have my more mature clients, I do go ahead and use my back bar of the 25%. And I do have some of my more mature clients purchasing that 25%. And I thought at first it was going to be difficult to sell that because it retails for $2.98. I can't keep it in my room. It sells that well. Once I started using it, and I take pretty good care of my skin, within a week the luminosity of my skin was amazing. So it's an amazing product. I'd say if you're over 40, you might want to consider the serum, and if you're under 40, maybe the Oxy Gel. Now, let your client know again, it's about managing expectations. When you put down the Oxy Gel, it will activate that peel. So when I put that oxygen down, I usually tell the client you're going to feel that feeling. And did you feel that when I put it down? Yeah, so you just let them know they're going to feel that again. And I don't know if you can tell if I tilt her head this way, the luminosity of the skin, how bright and fresh that skin looks. And all the blackheads that were once there are now gone. So that's pretty amazing. She has a little post-traumatic hyperpigmentation from breakouts, so I'm going to put the Bio Hydro White down. And this is an excellent, this smells, if nothing else, it smells amazing. So if you want, for those of you that are used to like a gel during the day and you use lots of serums, then you might want to use a gel during the day, but for at nighttime, when skin is rejuvenating itself, this treatment is really nice because it comes in more of a cream form. So it's not only hydrating to skin, it smells amazing. It feels like bedtime. You know, it's great. Just a light dusting of that over the skin. Okay, so now that we've finished with putting down the Oxy Serum and we've done the BioRegard around the eyes, we're going to move into our hydration. And there's BioCocoon and BioHydravit. And normally for retail, BioHydravit would be less lipid, more for, not for breakup, but just more normalized skin. And Cocoon would be for your more mature, drier skin. However, after the peel, you definitely want to get down the Cocoon unless you've got an acne breakout type person. If she had a lot of acne, of course I wouldn't put the Cocoon down, but she doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Cocoon on the peel today. Very rich. This product is amazing. I have 5 product lines that I carry in my business, and this by far is the top seller in terms of a night cream. So now we've got her all done with that. Now we're going to go into our SPF. Biodefense. This is no color, no tint Biodefense. Now there's also the Biodefense BB cream, which I absolutely love. I use it every single day in the #1. However, the way I instructed my estheticians to do it as well as my clients is sometimes with a BB cream, if you use the BB cream solely as your SPF, the problem with it is your clients may not like the finished result because it'll look too made up. So, and then sometimes I'm afraid they're not getting enough SPF protection. So what you want it, and again, it's all about making sure they have enough products at home to do the job correctly. So you want to make sure they have a nice even layer of their SPF down first before they do. And think of their BB cream as more of their makeup. That's how I would do it. Not to say you can't use your BB cream as an SPF, it's just that 9 times out of 10, if you sell it that way, they're not going to like it as much because they're going to feel like they have to put too much on and then they feel too made up. Especially your clients that are more, maybe less low maintenance, don't like a lot of makeup. They won't like the BB cream if it's too heavy. So just get a nice even. Also the BB cream goes down a lot nicer when you have a lipid base underneath. So that's that. And now we've already tested her skin and she's a number 2. And it has it in 1, 2, and 3. And you can even mix them. Okay, so this is the number 2. And in her particular case, she's young. I don't want it to be real made up. I want to show you how little I'm actually using, and that's probably too much. I'm probably going to take a little Hydravit. I just want to show you how you can mix this up and make it. So say I want to do just, I don't want it to, like she's not going out for the evening. She doesn't want everything flawless. She just wants a day look, you know, just something really translucent. Then I might take this two like this. I already have the cocoon down. I'm going to take the Hydravit and I'm going to mix these two together like this. And this is going to make it a little thinner, a little finer. So what's really nice about the BB cream is the different ways you could use it. So you want a very nice thin layer on the whole face. And then if there's something you need to mask, then you can go back with it without mixed in with the Hydravit and you can cover that area. But if you're just trying to cover that spot over here and you put it the same way down the whole face, then your client's not going to like the look. Okay? Go ahead and look up for me. Have her look up because this is the best dark circles under the eye. You won't need to wear any coverage under the eye anymore. If you find that you're working it in and you can see how much I have on here is too much, that's why I always have a towel underneath my client. Just go ahead and wipe and go. Just keep working it in. One of the reasons I wear Neutral gloves, I'm just going to throw this in here, is because I want a long life in this industry, and a lot of estheticians end up out of the business because they end up with eczema. So if you're going to wear gloves like I do, wear the Neutral so they fit very, very tight. The client won't be able to tell. It feels really nice on the skin, doesn't it? Really smooth. And it makes it a lot easier when you're blending something. The gloves, the Neutral gloves, will help blend things in a lot nicer than your own skin will. Okay, so go ahead and just keep working on that. And then I'm just going to, now for her, for an everyday look, this is amazing right here. But you see she still has a little bit right there, right? So now I've got her all covered. I've come in here. Now if she didn't have eye makeup on and she had a problem with redness on the eye, I would actually take that, I'd get a mask brush and I'd go right over the eye and it would take all that eye color out. So that BB cream is the only thing you're ever going to need in terms of coverage. Now I'm going to show you what happens if you take it directly out. So you still see that, right? So if you put it right there, tap and go, tap and go. But see, I can do this now because I already have good coverage everywhere else. Now if you had a little compact, you could take, once this sets, you could take a little of your powder brush and you could just go over this and maybe the chin and down the nose, and she's ready to go without, you know, matting down the whole face. Hi, welcome back. This is Cheri Callahan. Thanks so much for joining me today and letting me demonstrate to you the amazing benefits of the 2B Bio line, the retail line, as well as the peel. For those of you that are interested in carrying this peel in your business, following, you'll see some credits where you can gain that information on how to contact Jeneration Skin to become an account. For those of you that might be interested in taking your business to the next level, please know that I do consulting, so you can reach me at chericallahan.com. Thanks and have a great day. Bye.
The other.
It might seem